Welcome to Ways Teen Takeover, where we dive into trending topics and tackle the issues that matter most to us. I'm Oluwatobini Nionitiju, and joining me today are Fola Fashanu, Yasmin Basharu, and Iteoluwa Onimole. Hi guys!
Hey!
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Really good.
Okay, it's World Hausa Day today. The celebration began in 2015 through the initiative of Abdulbaki Aliyu Jari, a former BBC Hausa service journalist. The day was established to bring Hausa speakers together to reflect on the development of the language and address challenges it faces in the 21st century. In the past 2 years, International Hausa Day has been celebrated in more than 20 countries, including France and Saudi Arabia. Advocates hope that the Hausa language will one day be recognized as an official language of the United Nations, the African Union, and the Economic Community of West African States. Abdulbaki Aliyu Jari, the coordinator of the World Hausa Day, noted that according to recent research, Hausa is currently ranked the 11th most widely spoken language in the world and is projected to become the 5th by 2050. What do you think? Fola, Yasmin?
I mean, that's really interesting, especially the parts about it being the 11th most spoken language in the world.
I didn't know that many people spoke
I
Hausa.
didn't.
Yeah.
But that's really, it's a beautiful language, to be honest.
it
I would
is.
love to learn. But yeah, happy Hausa Day.
Ite, hi, how are you doing? What do you think about Hausa Day?
Growing up in Nigeria, we were told the three major languages were Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo. So I already assumed that we're going to be part of one of the languages in the United Nations. That's interesting to know.
Yeah, okay. Today's discussion centers on managing peer pressure and making confident decisions. Head on to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Hit that subscribe button, like, share, and invite your friends to join the show now. When I open the phone lines, I would really want to hear what your say on this topic. As always, please ponder on my quote for today. And it says, "The most important thing in your life is to live your life with integrity and to not give in to peer pressure, to try to be something that you're not." And that's by Ellen DeGeneres. We'll dive into this much later, but first, I'm off on a break. And when I come back, I'll let you in on my news interest for the day. Welcome back to Ways. What are you saying? In our daily lives, especially during adolescence and young adulthood, we often find ourselves influenced by the people around us, whether it's friends, classmates, co-workers, or even online communities. Peer pressure can shape our thoughts, actions, and decisions. While seeking acceptance and fitting into it is natural, it's essential to recognize when external influences begin to steer us away from our values, goals, or well-being. Learning how to manage peer pressure is not just about saying no. It's about developing self-awareness, building confidence, and making decisions that reflect who we truly are. This ability empowers individuals to stay true to themselves, make a responsible choice, and lead a more authentic and fulfilling life. You guys, peer pressure, today's topic.
I mean, I love especially the part where you said that it's not about shutting out what people think completely, but it's just about being able to respect yourself and love yourself enough to understand whether the decisions other people are making reflect your values. So as human beings, we all collectively interact with each other, but we still need to be able to maintain our own individuality and understand that we all come from different backgrounds. Like, you can even have friends that have completely different beliefs from you, completely different value systems as you, and that doesn't mean you can't be friends with them. Like, you're entitled to being different, but then understanding that you can make this decision, that doesn't mean I'm going to follow you there. I think it takes a whole lot of strength, a lot of courage, and self-respect.
Thank you, Yasmin. We're going to move to that, but first, let's take what's in the news.
Exactly.
Okay, so I have an interesting story, and I was a bit surprised when I saw this Oyo State has emerged the most preferred destination for Nigerians looking to relocate within the country. Okay. So according to fresh data from the State Performance Index, NGF 2025, released by Citizenship, the ranking, which highlights the top 12 states most attractive for relocation, places Oyo ahead of Akwa Ibom, the Federal Capital Territory, Kwara, and Osun, which make up the top 5. Rivers, Plateau, Cross River, Ogun, Kaduna, Kano, and Gombe complete the list. Now, the finding aligns with recent reports from the National Bureau of Statistics, which listed Oyo among Nigeria's cheapest states to live in. Oyo among Nigeria's cheapest states to live in 2025. The state recorded an inflation rate in 18.7%, with food prices even dropping by 7% in the last month, a rare trend across the country. Akwa Ibom, ranked second, also enjoys a reputation for affordability despite being oil-rich, while the FCT continues to attract people seeking government-related opportunities and modern infrastructure. Okay. Yeah. So, Ite, what do you have in the news for us today?
Uni made ASU slams federal government over 150,000 professors' retirement benefits. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, University of Maiduguri chapter, on Tuesday protested against the 150,000 retirement benefit for professors and university staff, describing it as a national disgrace. Speaking shortly after a one-hour protest at the institution's campus, the UniMate chairman of ASU, Dr. Abubakar Mushelia, said treating intellectuals with such disregard cannot result in meaningful progress in Nigeria. He said professors who have dedicated over 4 decades to educating generations retire on a meager 150,000 naira under the contributory pension scheme, while inflation exceeds 21%. This is not a labor issue, it is a national disgrace. A country that treats its intellectuals with such disregard cannot expect meaningful progress. While lamenting the lack of concern for staff welfare, he said, our members continue to suffer from unpaid salary arrears amounting to, but not limited to, 25 to 35% wage reward. Promotion arrears, legally due to academics who earn them through merit, remain unpaid in many institutions for over 4 years. He further condemned the recent approval of 9 private universities by the federal government, calling it an act of hypocrisy. Yeah.
Before you guys say your topics, I want us to talk about those 2 that I just mentioned and Ite mentioned as well. So let's start with ASU, because that one is really heavy. Wow. 4 years.
Yeah.
That's a lot. What do you have to say, Yasmin?
I mean, it is a lot, but like, I love that it's being said. Teachers are generally molding the minds of tomorrow. You know, it's such an overlooked profession, but what we don't understand is that by not giving teachers the respect and, you know, the merits that they deserve, it ends up backfiring on students, you know, and everybody's constantly talking about how the key to Nigeria developing is tackling that education, ensuring that we have a higher amount of skilled labor. But then how are we going to be able to do this when the people that are teaching them are not even being well motivated to do so? They aren't even being respected. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think teachers are just like at the pinnacle of our entire society. They're teaching the leaders of tomorrow. So if they're not having proper benefits, then our leaders are not going to have proper motivation to do well in school either.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would say it's quite easy to take the human interest angle of this story and be like, oh my God, what about the students in those schools? And I was thinking about this yesterday that, wow, what's going to happen to the students in schools? And the thing is, every decision has a ripple effect. So it's not just the teachers, it's also the students.
Exactly.
And I remember a lecturer that I had a class with was talking about how lecturers go on strike. And then she's like, and she knows students might want to be angry and be like, what's going to happen to our lives? But these lecturers also have their own kids.
Exactly.
They have bills to pay, they have to pay rent, they have to pay school fees. So it affects everybody. And I think the best way forward is to just find a solution to this problem. Ite?
Personally think that the most crazy thing about this whole story is the fact that the federal government approved 9 other private universities instead of trying to focus on giving these lecturers like an increase of pay. Because if I'm going to retire as a teacher and you're giving me only 150,000 naira, that's quite absurd, because 150,000 naira can't really do anything in this recent economy right now. So
Yeah.
it's kind of understandable why they would do this protest, and I pray that their protest is being heard and the federal government does something about it.
Amen. Hopefully. Okay, so Yasmin, your story.
Okay, well, on a lighter note, since you already mentioned that today is Hausa Day, so Atiku urges preservation of cultural heritage language. So, as the world celebrates Hausa Day, the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has praised the Hausa people as one of Africa's most influential cultures. In a statement posted on his X account on Tuesday, he said that the Hausa people are present in communities across some 25 countries and have made impacts in various sectors. You know, he described the festival as more than a cultural festival, and he called for greater efforts to safeguard the heritage that binds Hausa communities across West Africa. But most importantly, he called on leaders and citizens alike to ensure that Hausa heritage thrives alongside modern development. He said that may this Hausa Day renew our collective commitment to building a Nigeria and indeed an Africa where heritage and modernity thrive side by side. That quote in particular, I think, means so much because a lot of the time when we look at progress, when we look at development, it kind of implies that we leave our culture, we leave our past behind. But then what he's describing here is that we can move forward, we can develop as a country while still keeping our culture rich, while still giving it the respect and attention that it deserves and keeping it alive, you know.
Fola, do you have any stories for us today?
Oh yeah, I have a very sad story actually.
Okay.
So passenger scamper as Abuja Kaduna train derails.
Wow.
A passenger train traveling from Abuja to Kaduna derailed on Tuesday morning, leaving several carriages overturned and triggering panic amongst those on board. The incident has caused passengers fleeing for safety, with many describing the scene as chaotic and frightening. An eyewitness stated that the derailment happened without a warning, triggering confusion as passengers rushed out the derailed cabins.
Wow. I don't even want to imagine, because I saw that story. Okay, let me give you a little bit of gist for our viewers. So we have like recommended stories. We see stories in the news, and then we choose which ones we want to talk about on the show. I ran away from that story because it just seemed a bit too heavy.
It's so heavy.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
That's a lot. We really need to do a lot more with... I know accidents happen, but...
Even like this, further on in the paper, it says the railroad has faced repeated disruptions over the years, including the March 2022 terrorist attack, which left several dead and many abducted.
Wow.
So our public train system is seen as very unsafe, and a lot of people are not taking it anymore.
Ite, what do you feel about the story?
I feel like it kind of hits close to home because a few weeks ago I took the train to Ibadan. I know it's not the same route, but I do have quite a lot of trust in the Nigerian railway system. They did have a lot of like improvements and stuff, but the Abuja to Kaduna railway system is one that has always been talked about as being dangerous and, you know, unsafe. So if this is something that's constantly happening, there needs to be something that has to be done about it.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so those are our topics in the news for today. Now let's move to the main topic, peer pressure. But we'll be doing that after a short break.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, an in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Welcome back to Ways. Before the break, we were about to delve into the topic peer pressure. So now there are two types of peer pressure, positive and negative. I want you guys to analyze, and then if possibly you've ever been a victim of peer pressure. Yeah, Yasmin.
Have I ever been a victim of peer pressure? I mean, yeah, definitely. There have been some times where I feel like I want to do something to like impress other people, especially like people my age and everything, you know. But I mean, growing up, especially like, I don't know, a lot of things in life have just forced me to, you know, reflect and decide what my value system is, you know. Yeah.
I think I've had like a lot of positive peer pressure amongst the years. Like I've been around a friend group who was always very eager to succeed. So everyone was revising, like even like in our old school, like the work ethic was like through the roof.
Yeah.
So like everyone was revising, so everyone did well, and everyone had values, and I think we all uplifted each other, and that was like positive peer pressure.
Ita, positive or negative?
Positive peer pressure all the way. I don't think I'm someone who's easily swayed, so negative peer pressure has never really affected me. I'm quite like solid in my ground, and I know a lot of my friends can say that. They're always like, there's nothing that can like shake you from whatever you believe in. And honestly, like that's one thing I'm quite proud of. But at the same time, there are people that are susceptible to peer pressure. But it's always better to have positive peer pressure than negative peer pressure because of the consequences that may follow.
Yes, definitely. And I also have known positive peer pressure. I don't think I've ever been negatively affected by peer pressure. There's a temptation to be, but I don't think I ever succumbed to it. And especially now with studies and everything, having friends that actually have goals and can influence you positively is very important. And I feel like people underestimate that a lot.
For sure.
So to my friends, my study partners that always encourage me to read, who we finish the textbook together, track our progress. I love you guys so much. And positive peer pressure is just so important.
Yeah.
It really, your friends really define who you turn out to be and how you turn out to be. Okay, so let's talk about some sources of peer pressure, both positive and negative. Don't let's focus only on the positives. So we know peer pressure can come from your friends, and I guess, well, it's peer pressure. That's what it's called. But also, we can also have pressure from external sources, like maybe classmates, people that are not necessarily close to you, or family, or so let's just expand on that.
Yeah, I feel like even just to broaden the conversation, peer pressure usually, or being able to succumb to peer pressure usually comes from like not really understanding who you are as a person, or not having a strong personal identity, or not finding yourself, I think is the best way to put it. And this may not necessarily always come from just your friends. Like sometimes it just, the only way you can tackle this is understanding your own value system. And I'm not just talking about what your parents are saying. Like I'm not just talking about you saying I'm not going to do this and that because my mommy doesn't like it. That's a good reason not to do it. But then why would your mom not like it? Why would your dad not want you to do this bad thing? Is you need to get to a point where you're able to understand why you stand for what you stand for and why you don't, because that is what will keep you grounded, and that is what will make sure that no matter how anybody tempts you or anybody's like, oh, you're not cool, you're not that, you're not going to fall for it. You know, it's understanding consequences and
It's also having like self-respect for yourself and confidence in yourself, and not allowing anyone's like like outside like thoughts get into you.
Yeah. I just want to emphasize what you said about knowing why you do what you do. Because I've noticed that a lot of people just do things because.
Exactly.
Why aren't you doing this? Because it's not right. Why is it not right?
Exactly.
No explanation.
Exactly.
And when you have values that are based on just because, when they are tested, you're going to shake. Because you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. So as much as you have values, please know why you do those things. Please know why you stand by them. Is it to protect you? Is it because it has wrong consequences? Just know why you believe in what you believe in. Ite.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. When I was growing up, there's a lot of times that my mom would say, "Oh, no, don't do this, no, don't do that." And like Yasmin was saying, it reached a point where I started asking myself, why is she telling me no, don't do this? Why is she telling me no, don't do that? And when I started like attacking my decisions with that mindset, asking myself, okay, I'm not gonna do this because of this, I'm gonna do this because of that, I became more confident in my like standpoints. Not a lot of things will be able to shake me, so once you're confident in what you believe in, and when you can confidently say no or you can confidently say yes, then peer pressure isn't really something that you'd have to worry about.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's talk about social media. We're in the era of social media, and that's a really, really big influence. I want to put some conversation starters in place. So I don't know if you guys have watched the series Adolescence.
Oh, I loved it.
I haven't watched it, but I kind of know the plot.
Yeah.
I want to put that in the conversation. I also want to put in how some people's value system is basically from social media. Like everything. Their training is social media. So let's start with that, Yasmin.
I genuinely think that it's so ironic because social media, in a way, is kind of allowing people to be like, individualistic and like, very creative, own their own identity. Like it's a form of expression. Everybody has a platform to be themselves. But now more than ever, we are seeing herd mentality. We're seeing like micro trends. You're seeing people coming online literally asking, oh, what is this? Are we wearing skinny jeans now? Or
Yeah, what's vibe for the summer?
Like we are literally, a lot of people are incapable of individual thought. But even though this is a platform that's supposed to be encouraging like personalized creativity, and also like you said, like when you brought up Adolescence, that show was amazing, and it was just I think the reason why it was so good is just because of how real it was. It was a valid reflection, like especially with this younger generation. I feel so old saying it now, but like this younger generation, they're literally growing up on social media. Everybody says that Gen Z is addicted to their phones. Imagine
Gen Alpha.
I'm so worried.
Oh, wow.
All they see is like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, everything. They don't even have the space to create their own value
think
system.
for themselves.
To think for
They're
themselves.
so impressionable and they're so young.
Exactly.
And they're growing up like trying to be trendy as well.
Exactly.
Ita, please talk a bit on the influence of social media on peer pressure.
Yeah, so social media is just a tool that people use to join the bandwagon, honestly, in my opinion. There was a time where it was quite literally everyone showing their individuality, every single TikTok you scroll, it's a different thing. But now we're seeing the same content, like the same people, everyone trying to look the same. And social media has quite lost its meaning because you're supposed to influence people on social media, not really follow the crowd. And when we think about it, it's kind of people wanting to fit in, like the Adolescence show.
Yeah.
The boy really just wanted to fit in. If he was confident in who he was, the comments from his friends on his Instagram wouldn't really affect him as a person because he knows who he is and he knows the value he has, in society. So when you find yourself trying to constantly fit in, that's when you know that there's something wrong because you were truly born to stand out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I want to highlight something she said about how when social media first started, it was a platform to everyone to show their individuality.
Yeah.
But now it's like there's a template that everybody's following.
Because that's what gets likes now. That's what people engage with the most.
Yeah. I was going to talk about the sources of why people give into peer pressure, but we've tackled a lot of them already.
Yeah.
So desire to fit in, obviously. Fear of rejection. I think that's something we've actually not really delved into.
I think even you bringing up Adolescence, I think that explains that perfectly. And I don't even think it's something that we can force people for. As human beings, we interact with each other. I don't think it's even realistic to be like, you don't care what anybody else thinks, just be your own person. Like, people shout that all the time, but even people that are saying it still care.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's like, to a certain degree, caring about what other people think like it can regulate your actions. It can make sure that you're not going around, I don't know, being a horrible person. But then it's just being able to maintain that balance. And that fear of rejection, it generally is a valid fear. Nobody wants to feel alone, you know, and it takes a whole lot of strength. It takes a lot of intentional work to be comfortable with being different.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that anybody that's able to do that deserves to be applauded. And the people that aren't able to do that, instead of being scrutinized or judged, should just be guided to do so.
Yes, definitely. Fola, do you have any views on that?
I totally agree with Yasmin. I think self-rejection is such a big thing. Like people feeling rejected or is just due to the lack of self-esteem.
Yes.
And growing up, you're just trying to fit in. You're just trying to have friends. You're just trying for people to like you. I feel like sometimes you just lose some of your morals because you're like, oh, I really, really want someone to like me. But I think it's just having a strong foundation in yourself initially that will help, like really go the extra mile.
Oh yeah, and I just want to say this to all our viewers that you were created the way you were created for a reason. There's a reason there's one of you in the world. You weren't created so that you can just mimic someone else. That's why we have so many different people. If not, we'll all be like robots, the same. So there's a reason you are an individual, and you should cherish that. You should live in that. You should be happy with that. In the long run, you won't survive trying to be like someone else.
You
It's
literally
just be
cannot be
facades.
anybody else but yourself.
So you can't be anybody else but yourself. Okay, so how do we recognize signs of peer pressure? How do we know that someone is being pressured? I have a story actually, but before that, it's tell me, how do you know if someone is being pressured? Can you tell?
I think it's a whole lot easier to tell when you're negatively being peer pressured than when you're positively being peer pressured. It happens when it's not a decision that you would make on your own. It's something that someone else has influenced. I think that's kind of how you can gauge it. So if you're going about your day and maybe you go to the shops and you see for example, today, me and my friends, we went out to the city center and we saw an ice cream store on the way. And my friend was like, oh, sweet treat. Honestly, I wasn't thinking about a sweet treat, but the moment she said that, I was like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. So it's something that if you haven't thought of it on your own, or it's not an individual decision that you know you constantly make before, then it's kind of, you can identify that as peer pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think like there's always like behavior signs, like just how someone acts. If they just act very different from how they were before, I think that's a big teller. Yeah.
Definitely behavioral signs. I feel like if you know someone, for example, let's say you have a friend that's very outgoing. For example, I like to think of myself as a very outgoing person. So let's assume you're my friend, or you're my friend. Let's assume you're my friend, and you notice that, oh, Tommy's usually bubbly, Tommy's usually happy, and there's a decision we have to make. And a decision that I would randomly just like immediately say the answer that, But then I remember a conversation I had with someone that maybe I want to be like. Then I'm like, oh, but then this person said, and then I that would normally just answer the question, I'm taking time, and then I pick an option that's probably not right for me. And then as my friend, you're like, there's something off about Tomi. So that's another way to identify peer pressure, like through your personality. And definitely I want to say that if you identify something in your friend, like a change of behavior, please speak up. Don't think, oh, I want to save the friendship. Your friend's well-being is way more important than the friendship falling apart, and I doubt it will anyways.
But it's also, how do you even like speak up? Because I think people might feel targeted. Like if somebody, let's say, used to act some kind of way, and then all of a sudden, because you know they're being pressured by their friends and everything, they start acting differently. How do you even come up to that person and be like, I feel like you're not being yourself. I feel like you're listening to these people. They'll end up being like, I feel like most people will be offended. Like, I don't understand. Am I a sheep right now? What do you call it? Like, how can you even present that feedback in a way that's digestible?
I've had a situation like that, funny enough. I won't share the entire details for sake of privacy.
Yeah.
So I have a friend that we're very close, but then I started noticing some behavioral shifts. So I called the person aside, and I got to the point where I was like, at this point, you are more important to me than whatever I think we have. And then I just spelt it all out. You're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. I don't think it's safe for you. And in all honesty, it can be scary because it could either go good or go
really
bad.
bad, yeah.
Like the person in question could have resented me, but luckily enough, she didn't. And we're still good till today. So I just feel like take that chance, please. Because you would feel even worse if something happened to the person and then you were in the position to help and then you did nothing.
Yeah.
Ite?
I think you also have to look at it from both sides. So are you the person calling out the behavior or are you the person receiving the behavior? If you're the person calling out the behavior, you also have to remember that as their friend, you are their safe space. Like Yasin was saying towards the beginning of the show, peer pressure from like a group is from you not being comfortable around the people that you are. So if you have a group of friends, those are supposed to be like your sisters or your brothers, your family. So you should always feel comfortable with them. The moment you don't feel comfortable with them, that's something that you need to, look into and maybe change your group of friends. So if it's coming from a loving place, it shouldn't be hard to call out such, behaviors. But if you're the one receiving such call out, it might feel a bit iffy, but you also have to think about put yourself in the other person's shoes and you have to reflect and be like, how did they notice this behavior? How much has it been impacting my day-to-day life that they have noticed this behavior? And you also have to think about, am I going to take this criticism in a good way or a bad way? And how is this going to affect me, moving forward?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for that, Ite. So we will discuss more on peer pressure and how we can solve that problem. But first, let's take a short break.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back to Ways. In case you're just joining us, we've been talking about managing peer pressure and making confident decisions. We have a comment. Yasmin?
Okay, so Salma said, I think there's a difference between being peer pressured and being convinced to do something. The story Ita told sounds more to me like, doesn't sound to me like peer pressure, as I believe peer pressure involves doing something you would normally feel uncomfortable with just to feel validated or to fit in.
Okay, so where do we draw the line?
Who
wants to start?
I think Ite's story was like, she was convinced,
Yes.
but without her peers, she would have not been
Made the decision.
So it was a bit of pressure anyways, because also she doesn't want to be the person that says, oh, I don't want to get a sweet treat, because everyone wants a sweet treat in once in a while.
Yeah. Ita, do you want to talk on it?
I think I kind of get where Salma is coming from, but from her comment, I truly think that she's leaning more into the negative aspect of peer pressure, feeling uncomfortable doing something, seeking validation and things like that. That can actually come off as negative peer pressure, and that's something that needs to be looked into a bit more.
Okay, so can we label it? So in the case where, not entirely labeled, but in the case where you're being convinced to do something that's probably good, could we label that as positive peer pressure?
I think it's even interesting to have positive peer pressure be a name at all. Like peer pressure is a negative.
Yeah.
Why are we making it positive? It's just
like contradictory.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it feels
if it's
contradictory.
positive, then it's convincing. If
Exactly.
it's negative,
Then
then it's
it's
peer
peer
pressure.
pressure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's a better way to go about it.
I think, yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about peer pressure, we've talked about causes. Now, how do we, for example, if you're in a position where you've been through it or you're currently going through it, how do you come out of it? How do you build self-awareness and esteem?
I think the first thing you need to do is to get to know yourself. And honestly, I think that's a part of life that nobody can avoid. Whether you're getting to know yourself at the age of 60, or whether you're getting to know yourself when you turn 40, or whether it's when you become a teenager at like 13, you can never run away from discovering who you are, because regardless of the amount of people that you love or that love you in this world, the one person that you're always going to be with is yourself. So I think the key to, breaking past peer pressure and everything is understanding your own values. And like I said before, understanding your value system, understanding what you stand for, and respecting yourself enough to want the best for yourself. Think about the negative consequences. Is it worth it? Is this stupid decision worth the negative consequences that come with it? Do I love myself enough to not want to put myself through that? Do I respect myself enough not to want to jeopardize my future or my happiness for this insignificant action?
A round of applause for Yasmin, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, Paula.
I think it's also like a big confidence thing. If you're not a confident person, you're going to be easily peer pressured. If you just want validation from an outside source and you're not validating yourself, then you're always going to be susceptible to peer pressure.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. I think it's a confidence issue.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I want to say this, your values are very important. And we talked about this earlier, having values and knowing why you have those values. And one thing that really helps me, especially in school, because it's very easy to just be swayed. For example, you knew you were meant to study today, but then there's this event, and then your housemates are going for the event. And it's an event you could possibly go for, but you know you have a goal. So I usually just set targets for myself. And I'm like, girl, until you've met that target, you're not going anywhere.
No, exactly.
So setting goals for yourself and knowing where you're going is very important. Ite?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Another thing is that, with those decisions that you make, can you come back a week later, 2 weeks later, and be confident and be like, yeah, I did that on Tuesday, and I don't mind whatever you think, but because I did it and I'm fine with it, that's fine. The moment you can say that about the decision you made, then it's fine. But if you can't come back, after 2-3 weeks and say, oh, I did that and I felt comfortable, then we need to now take a step back and wonder, oh, okay, maybe this decision isn't really the one I should be making.
Exactly.
Yes, that's very important.
Like, you know what? Heavy on the short-term goals that you said again, because babes, when I tell you, back in secondary school, I would have a whole study timetable, because guys, I was not serious. Like on paper, I was a serious person. Study timetables, I'm on Canva, drawing up my timetable.
Okay.
It's time for me to study. I'm seeing somebody else that has studied already. They are playing.
That is
and
so
I'm like,
real.
you know what?
They'll wake up at 3 a.m.
You don't know what they're doing in the house.
Imagine. And I'm coming there and I'm playing with you. So you've gone to read and you've played. Fine. Now I've played. Where's the reading in that equation? It's not present.
Nowhere to be found.
Exactly.
Yeah, so set short-term goals. Can you be comfortable with the decision? And yes, I wanted to say, recently I've become more comfortable with the decisions I make, because I know for a while I used to question a lot of my decisions. I'd be like, let me take a break today. Should I take a break today? What if the test comes up tomorrow? What if this happens? But now I'm just like, I took this decision and I'm going to be fine with whatever consequence comes from it. And just make sure you're making the right decisions. And another way you can do that is by self-reflection. So think about what happened in the day, what you could have done wrong, what you did wrong, what you could have done right. Yeah, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I recently started journaling again.
Okay.
So
I love that.
Yeah, so I think it's just a really good way to end your day. It's a really good way to get all of your thoughts on a page, find out what's worrying you, what's making you happy, what you're grateful for. My mom said she would put 100 things that I'm grateful for on a page. It's so cute. But I think it's just a good way to instate those values into yourself early on at the end of your day.
Yasmin?
Yeah, I think it's a really great way to promote mindfulness and gratitude. I also think gratitude plays a big role in this, because like if you're grateful for all that you have around you, if you're like grateful enough to appreciate who you are and all the opportunities that you're blessed with and everything, I think that you would be a lot more comfortable with yourself and be a lot more grounded and be less likely to be influenced. Because sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but in some cases, like succumbing to peer pressure comes from feeling like something is missing. You know, the grass is always greener on the other side. But when you're able to like be mindful and grateful, I think that's less likely to happen.
Speaking of being grateful, I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for the show, because I feel like even if anybody else invited me for any other event today, I wouldn't go. Except it was school related though, because that was Okay, Ita, what do you have to say about self-reflection?
Honestly, self-reflection is something that I go through all the time. And the question I ask myself is, did I regret this? I don't ever want to regret any decision that I make, because regret is really not a feeling that I enjoy having. So if there is a decision I'm about to make and as an overthinker, I analyze every single thing, like option A, B, all the way to option Z. So I'm like, in all these options that I have, is there any that I would regret doing? If there is an option that I could regret, I don't go ahead and do it. I just stick to, my beliefs and my systems, and I just go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. And something that helps me personally, shout out to my mommy. She's my gist partner. And I run a lot of my decisions by her. I guess because I'm kind of alone now and being in uni. So it's like, something happens. If I can't call her immediately, after I'll run it by her. For example, something happened a few days ago, and I remember I came home recently and I was telling her, "Oh, Mom, by the way, what do you think about this?" And then I told her the whole story, and she's like, "Okay, you did the right thing. It's okay."
Sometimes you just need to hear that.
Yeah, so
just the reassurance.
running it by people you look up to, people who you admire also helps. Do you guys have any stories on that?
Yeah.
I used to run things through my brother a lot.
Oh, okay.
But my brother has bad character.
Well,
I'm joking, of course. But he was always, he's very supportive in a lot of things, but he always tells me when I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
He always tells me when I need to work harder. He always encourages me to work harder to get my degree, get the first, all that. So I'm very grateful for him as well.
yeah. Yasmin, do you have anyone you run things by?
I mean, both of my parents, I talk to them a lot about everything. Like, my mom is basically my, my life coach.
Your G.
Yeah, she's my bestie. We're like this. But yeah, like even and my dad as well, like I talk to them about everything, and sometimes, because like Ita said, she's an overthinker, I'm an overthinker as well, like everything. Sometimes I do something and I'm like, oh my God, we should have done that, I hate feeling regret, so I try to avoid it so much.
Okay, I think we have a caller. Hello, good evening. Okay, comments. All right. Okay, and Fola, can you read it for us, please? It's on the screen.
Oh, okay. What happens when you try to be friends with someone whose goals align with yours, but then you realize that this person already set boundaries for themselves?
Wait, like you're trying to be friends with the person,
but the person
doesn't want to be
they
your
don't want to
friend.
be friends with you.
Well,
try. If you
have to try
and it doesn't work, then I don't know how to say this. It's a pidgin phrase. You said you be spec, like you're also
you're a good person as well.
They should be wanting to be friends with you too.
Exactly.
But just make sure you're not exhibiting any behaviors that they're potentially trying to avoid, like on a more objective note. And if you feel like you're quite a good person, you feel like you should be able to relate with them, and they're giving you attitude, let it go.
It's not by force.
And just to be balanced, I want to say that this is going to sound funny. Important decisions, not important decisions, but I feel like when it comes to like everyday stuff, I run it by my mom. But when it comes to like serious like business, a job, a contract, I'm calling my dad. I'm like, oh dad, I just sent this document to you. Please, can you help me review it?
Yeah.
Okay, Ita, do you have stories on who you can like talk to and run things by?
Definitely my mom, like the rest of you. I tell my mom everything. Like, if I'm going out, I tell her, because it builds this type of trust and relationship that a lot of people kind of, don't have already. So that's something I'm quite, grateful for. And, there's a certain sort of like voice that comes at the back of your head, when you're telling your parents these things, or even when you're not even with them, there's this thing of like, are you sure you're supposed to be doing that? Or, things like that. So because I have that kind of relationship with my mom, there are lots of decisions that I make that I'm quite happy with. And, she's also, the moment your mom says, oh, I'm proud of you, it's just like the best feeling ever.
It really is.
Shout out to all the moms.
Yeah.
We love you guys. Okay, so another way we can also stay grounded and be sure of our decisions is by celebrating wins and failures. A lot of people talk about wins, but failures, I think there is more opportunity for growth in failures than wins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There have been decisions I've taken that I've been like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But instead of just sitting in it, make a mental note in your head. So the next time a situation arises like that, you're like, oh, I did this the last time. I'm not going to do it again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My mom always says that fail is like first attempt in learning. I don't know if
Oh, that's
yeah.
good. That's a nice acronym.
Yeah. So like there's just always something to learn from it, Like at least, and sometimes if you win everything, then you aren't even really growing as a person. And maybe you need to double check the kind of situations that you're in. If you're doing local champion, like if you're the best person in that room all the time, go to better rooms,
Yes,
Exactly.
definitely. Go to rooms where you're challenged.
Exactly.
No, exactly. I think you just have to celebrate both your wins and your losses. Like,
Exactly.
I don't think you should beat yourself up too badly about what things you're not doing, you're doing incorrect. So you just use them as an opportunity to grow and do better in the future and just become a better person in the long run.
Yeah, Ite.
Yeah, I agree with Dora. Like, personally, I beat myself up if there's something that doesn't go, the way that I planned it to. But that's something I'm actively working on. Like back to what I was saying, so that I don't have any regrets. There's no point in beating yourself up when you can always get up, always, find another solution, find another path, because there is an endless amount of solutions. There's not only one way to do something. And, the moment you put down a goal, you've basically already solved half of it.
Exactly. And I just want to say one thing, we all need to start showing ourselves some grace. Even with this whole topic of peer pressure, if you feel like you're not being yourself, if you feel like maybe you're being led astray or whatever, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're a failure or anything. You just need to show yourself some grace. You're allowed to make mistakes. It doesn't define you.
Yes. We've been talking a lot about standing by our decisions, but I want to draw a line here. So what's the difference between being assertive and aggressive in your decision making? Like they bring a decision, or maybe your friend is like, okay, for example, let's say your friend has read and you've not read, but they don't know that you've not read.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, let's go for this party. And then you're like, oh, I can't go, I have to read. And then she's like, but I told you about this party a while ago. So in that situation, what's the difference between being aggressive and assertive? Would you say you should probably be aggressive or just be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this?
Assertive always
I
does
think
the
it will
job.
always rule
Yeah.
assertive.
There's no need to be rude about it. Just stand your ground. And if anybody isn't respecting your boundaries, then you can double
Be aggressive then, but
Like
yes.
you cannot be like, listen, I don't think I want to be. But
I feel like someone needs to hear this. Saying no is not being rude.
yeah,
I need to say
oh
it
my
again.
god.
Saying no is not being rude.
Exactly.
I feel like there are people pleasers in the house. Saying no is not being rude. If it's something that's going to affect you negatively, if it's something you genuinely have to say no to, then please feel free.
Please.
Ite, where do you draw the line between being assertive and aggressive?
Being assertive is being respectful. It is standing up for yourself. It's clarifying your decision. But being aggressive, it just flips the coin. You're being unnecessarily rude. There's a lot of better ways that you could say a lot of things. There's no need being hostile or being forceful. The moment you put your foot down and you said, this is the reason why I'm doing this, there's no need to drag it on. If the person doesn't respect you back, then you can walk away from the situation.
All right. Okay, so for our viewers, we're about to round up the show shortly, but before that, I have 2 decision-making strategies for you, and they are the think model and the decide model. Now, the think model goes T, is it true? H, is it helpful? I, is it inspiring? N, is it necessary? K, is it kind? And then decide model, define the problem, explore the alternatives, consider the consequences, very important. Identify your values, decide and act, evaluate the situation, and evaluate the situation. That's the last one. Okay. So now, before we go, what role do you think the community in general plays on peer pressure, and how can we move forward and make it play a better role, as in the community in general?
The community in general. Do you know what? I have very strong opinions on this. We constantly...
We're running out of time.
Okay,
yeah.
very
I just need to let you know.
Yeah. All I want to say is that even though we are very upfront with saying that peer pressure is a bad thing, in a lot of ways, like even like our cultures kind of promote it in the sense where they're always like, oh, do this, and maybe even be extra respectful so your auntie doesn't think that you're rude. Exactly. Yeah. So sometimes like the older generation even like encourages us to be caring about what other people think. Personally.
And it's not bad to care about what other people think,
to be controlled
but in an overly people-pleasing manner. Like,
exactly.
oh, if I don't do this person is going to think this.
Exactly.
Or, oh, I have to do this, so this person, fuller.
Exactly.
And also, like, constant comparisons also, like, have a detrimental effect on people as well. Because if you're comparing yourself, oh, this person has this person is doing this, and I should be doing this, they're never going to be happy with yourself, and it will never be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Ite.
I agree, because as a community, we should always allow people to feel confident in themselves, because you are also the back end of some people's peer pressure. You might not know it actively, but slight comments, slight looks, people are feeling that. People are feeling the effect. So if you have, you walk into rooms with open arms, good emotions, good behaviors, so that, other people don't feel as if that they're not fitting in, always try and make people fit in, always include people, always praise their individuality. That's something that we need to actually take really, really seriously. Just because someone is different doesn't mean you should, exclude them or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And before we go, I'd just like to say, in life, we all face moments where others try to influence our choices. Some for the better and some not. Managing peer pressure is not about avoiding others or isolating yourself, but about learning how to stay true to who you are, even when it's hard. The ability to make confident decisions comes from knowing your values, trusting your instincts, and having the courage to stand up for what you believe in. Saying no doesn't make you weak. It shows strength, self-respect, and maturity. Remember, you don't have to follow the crowd to belong. Confidence grows when you make choices that reflect your true self. Your future is shaped by the decisions you make today. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, develop the courage to walk away from negative influence, and never be afraid to choose what's right over what's easy. Ultimately, real confidence isn't about pleasing others. It's about being at peace with yourself. Guys, any last words?
Be confident in you. You're a good person. Yeah. Be confident.
Yeah, Yasmin.
Be true to who you are. You only really have yourself,
Ite.
Be the unicorn in a world of horses, guys.
Okay, that's a figurative statement. All right, and for me, I like to say, don't be afraid to say no. Thank you, audience. Thank you so much. Before I go, do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow us on all our social media engagements, and remember to like, share, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch us. Follow us as well. If you missed our quote, here it is. The most important thing in your life is to live your life with integrity and to not give in to peer pressure, to try to be something that you're not, and that is by Ellen DeGeneres. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, guys.